Hey, what's up everyone? Josh here and welcome to another video. It's an exciting day today because Neural DSP has released their Fortin Nameless Suite X, or the Fortin Nameless X, whatever you want to call it. Even though it's nameless, you can call it whatever you want. It is finally here. It is something that people have wanted for a long time, and Neural DSP has answered the call with these awesome X updates where they provide some of their quality of life features that they keep coming out with for the newer stuff, and then give it the older plugins that same treatment so that everybody is on the same page, caught up. It's wonderful stuff, and we love Neural for doing that. Let's listen to this awesome plugin in a quick mix, and then we'll check it out together. All right, everyone, so as you can see, this amp is no slouch in that low end. It loves to do the beefy stuff. It is super chunky. It is awesome stuff, man. If you're a metalhead, if you're a metal guitar player, this might be the one for you. So let's take a quick look at it here. I've got it on their default setting. Let's just hear what they wanted it to sound like out of the box. Yeah, it sounds super awesome right out of the box. Man, listen to this, man. Good stuff. If you love to live in that drop A world, or if you're even lower than that, I know we have, 15 string guitars nowadays and stuff. I'm just a little measly 7 here, but it does everything that I could ever want it to. Let's take a quick look at the user interface here, and then we'll talk about some more sound. So as always, Neural DSP does incredible modeling work. I just love the way they render these amps in here. The Tolex looks great. The black and gold is just classic. It's one of my favorite color schemes. It looks great. We got basically a 50-watt plexi going on here. We have 2 inputs to choose from, the high and the low, and you'll notice when we go to the low, we lose one of the gain controls, but no big deal. Obviously, on the panel here, you can see we've got our pretty standard controls. We have 2 gain stages to choose from on this, which obviously give us a lot of tonal options with the gain itself. Let's go over here to the beginning with the pedals, and these are all Fortin modeled pedals in here, really awesome stuff. You have the Zool noise gate in here, and I like the Zool gate. I don't use the one in the plugin, but they do give you the option, so hey, you got options. Next, you have the hex drive. So this is like your more classic, overdrive here. I've got it set up with, 0 drive, all the volume, and then, usually bump the tone just a touch, and that sounds like this. So a little more what you may be used to. But then you have this grind pedal, and I want you to listen to the way that this dirties it up. It's a little different. It's a little less boomy. It kind of tightens it up, and I like the grind, aspect that you get out of it. Now, I've got it at a pretty low setting. Listen to it as we crank it up here a little bit more. So the grind, I think, is a little more suited towards your lower end stuff, multi-scale stuff, your low strings, because it's easy to get a little woofy down there, like with the hex drive, versus the grind here. Yeah, pretty big difference. So you have some options to choose from. I'd say if you're gonna be hanging way down here on your 7 string, you might try the grind out. I think you'd like it, but the hex drive is there as your more classic option. So there's that. Let's move on to the amp face. We talked about this a little bit, but here's where you're gonna spend most of your time. So we'll talk about some of these features here. You have your input control here for your gain, and then you have a gate that you can use separate from the Zool, because not every plugin has a modeled, gate pedal. So again, options. You have the transposer here, so right? So now we can really get down there if we want to. You know, that wasn't a very heavy riff to show the transposer, but it does do the transpose thing, which is a big thing that a lot of people have wanted in these plugins. I don't use the transposer very often, but I enjoy having it mostly for dropping it 4 steps and then turning my standard into a C. So that's what I usually use it for if I'm too lazy to tune my guitar down, especially if I'm playing the 6th string. But the transposer is here, and it does awesome stuff. And the good thing about the Neural transposer, I find, is it doesn't sound like it's not supposed to be happening. Then you have stereo or mono inputs, so whatever you want to do for your recording setup. Here you have your preset bar, and one of the things with the X plugins is they have upped the ante on the presets. I mean, look at this, man. We have so many places to start. And that's one thing I really enjoy about Neural DSP and their X updates is they really said, we want to give you more than just a new coat of paint and maybe some different sound profiles. No, we want to give you the goods. Neural's got plenty in here, and then I've got a few myself that we'll check out. You got an EQ here, but we skipped the cabinet section. So there's your EQ, hello. You've got a high and low pass filter on it, and this is good stuff, kind of the standard with Neural, but now we'll talk about the cabinet section. So Neural's cabism setup is one of my favorite because it's just so easy to use and it sounds so good. I am not in here much messing with the cabinet because it is so dialed in, and that's a compliment to Neural. But let's take a quick look here. So you have a plethora of microphones to choose from, or you can load your own IR, up to you. Then you have your normal controls here. You have a room blend here, and this is the room send, but this is the level here, and then a phase option. So 2 microphones or 2 IRs can be loaded in. I love the 57 and the 184 together. It just sounds, in my opinion, You're getting all the sharpness of that 57 plus the richness and fullness of that condenser, so that's really awesome stuff. And as usual, you can mess with the amp controls while you're on the cabinet screen. I always like that feature. It's good stuff. Next, let's go to the post effects, because in the original plugin we did not get post effects, and that was one of the gripes that I had with it, because I loved the tone and I loved the plexi, but I said, man, I want to be able to shred with it a little bit. So we do have from Fortin in here some awesome pedals going on. So we have this delay pedal that's very powerful. You can sync it to your DAW, tap it, or use the freeform. You have the mix level here. You can ping pong it if you want, so it goes between both speakers. And then you also have your tone, time, and then you can tap the tempo if you wish, but we're not on that module, so that has been grayed out. Then you have a reverb here. This is a solid reverb. I like simple reverbs that just work, right? And this is one of those. I love the look of it, of course, but there's not too much going on here. It's not too complex, and I really dig it. Let's talk about a couple of features that I forgot to mention earlier, like the doubler. So that takes us from this to this. Neural's doubler is one of the best in the business because they get it right with that delay and make it sound really huge. So you do have the doubler, which is also an X feature, and then you have your output control. So sorry I forgot to mention that earlier. Down here you have a tuner as well, and then you have your MIDI setup if you want to do MIDI stuff. So that's kind of what we're getting here. Let's talk about a few sounds. So I've got a couple sounds made up here that I have dialed in to kind of show off what I like to do with this. And the first one, of course, is going to be my heavy preset, man. So that's my heavy preset. I like it a little more bright than maybe the default tone, but that's just me. And if I wanted to blend that, I would probably turn the treble down a little bit and then kind of keep the presence at about mid. And then with just those minor adjustments, so that's probably what I'd end up blending together. But all I'm doing with that one is I'm using over here the grind pedal with kind of a fairly low setting again. And then there's not much going on here. A little bit of kick to the bass. The gain controls are up a little bit, but other than that, we're not doing too much. And I'm just using that 57 and 184 combo because it's so good. Nothing else really going on that, but that's what I like. It's simple. I can just get in there and just go for it. All right, so that's cool. Next, we want to take advantage of some of these post effects here. So I've got this one loaded up as kind of a shred preset, and you can see what I'm doing with the reverb and delay here. I've got the milliseconds where I like them. I'm not ping-ponging it, and then I've got the reverb where I normally have it. Sounds really nice with that reverb and delay on there. It sounds like a nice plexi would, so I am super into that. I'll show you the ping pong real quick. You can kind of hear how it goes between both speakers there, so that is cool stuff. Again, I don't use it much, but it is there if you want it. So on the amp face here, just again, pretty similar stuff to my heavy preset, and I did use the hex drive on this one instead of the grind because I like the fatness from the typical, or the more old school, if you will, style drive there as opposed to the grind. So there's what we have going on with that one. But the cool thing is this is a plexi, man, and you can take it more than just crazy heavy places. So I've got kind of a crunch tone here, and you'll notice I'm using the low input on this, and it takes away a gain stage, and I've got a pretty low gain here, but I really like how this comes out. Really tight, really crunchy. I just can't get enough of that stuff, because when you pair that up with bass and drums, you just get this super awesome feel to it, man. Just you gotta have with the plexi, so you can go there. On this one, what I'm doing on the front end is I've got my hex drive going, and then I've got pretty low gain on this one. I've got the bass, you know, and middle pretty much the same, the treble's up just a touch on that one, and then the same mic combination on the cabinet here, and then I have just a little bit of reverb going on the back end to give it just a little bit of body, that's all. Next, I'll show you kind of a low gain setting that I do, and this one I really like to use the single coil on, and you can get those bluesy cool tones out of this, man. Sounds really nice, and if you go to the humbucker, you get a little more drive out of it. But I really like that single coil for the low gain, and on this one I've got it in the, you know, low one again, of course, and it's pretty awesome stuff, man. Using no drive on the front or anything, just letting the amp kind of do its thing, no changes to the cab section, and then of course my reverb and delay. So all in all, this new Nameless X suite is super versatile. It sounds incredible, and the more you dive into this and experiment with those gain options and the dynamics available, I think you'll find that you can take this amp lots of places, especially with the two different drive pedals here to really shape that sound profile. That is only limited by your imagination. So Neural DSP swings the bat hard, hits another home run for us. I think this Nameless X update is a very, very nice upgrade with these post effects and just the sounds. You can't beat it, man. So go check out the Neural Fortin Nameless Suite X plugin. I'll have a link to it in the description, and see what you think. All right, and also just to add, if you are someone who had the Fortin Nameless Suite before, this is a free upgrade. So go get it. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. Appreciate you chilling with me and checking out this brand new plugin, and we'll see you on the next video.